New day, everyone, and welcome. This is another episode of Success by Choice, and I'm your host, Chris McClurk, and my favorite friend, my brother from another mother, is here. That is, you know who, Ben Price. I'm so glad that he's here, as well as we have a guest tonight in the person of Alicia Jenkins. We're so glad to have you here. If I could clap my hands and have the background going, I would, but since I can't, welcome, and we're glad to have you. How are you doing, Alicia?
I am well. I am well. So glad to be here. Thank you for making a spot for me tonight.
Awesome. Doing well, doing well. Ben, how are you, my brother?
Listen, I am how the church folks say it, blessed by the best and highly favored. I'm good, man. I am absolutely loving my plight in life right now. So wow. I can't complain.
I'm excited to hear that, man. You know, the last time we talked, we did the check-in.
Yes.
We were just checking in with each other, and we recorded that show, and it went out, and one of my dear brothers reached out to me and said, "Man, y'all are talking to me," and that right there was just, it meant so much that what we did and what we set forth and what we released, man, was just checking in on each other, seeing how each other was doing emotionally, physically, health-wise. It helped him out. It helped him out tremendously. So that's what we do here at the Success by Choice radio show. We show you how to be successful. We talk to you about everyday life and everyday situations. And we're excited tonight because tonight we're just going to be keeping it real, and everybody else say keeping it controversial. I'm excited. It feels good to be able to have a point of view from a woman who has her own mind and can speak her mind, and she's gonna let it be known to us now. She's not gonna preach to nobody, but she's gonna just speak the truth. And whoever hears the truth shall be set free. But we just gonna keep it controversial, and I'm excited, man, for what we're gonna talk about. So listen, we're gonna go ahead and jump in. You guys ready?
You ready now?
Those who are listening to us, are you guys ready as well? I hope you are. Let's get ready. All right. So the first question is, what do you think is the number one reason marriages fail? I'm going to pose that question to Alicia.
Thank you. You say number one reason?
Yeah, from your perspective, from your opinion, yeah.
From my perspective, I would say just in a broad statement of communication. Failure to communicate expectations, failure to communicate during the process of, failure to communicate whenever expectations are not met, or even failure to receive in communication. I really think, to even take it a step further, I think that one of our biggest problems in communication is the failure to listen. And that's on both parts. Listening is not just a matter of hearing, it takes a little bit of skill, it takes some wisdom. So yeah, I definitely say hearing your partner, communicating when expectations are not met, just communication as a whole.
Okay. Awesome. Wow. Ben, I saw you nodding your head over there, so I believe that you're in agreement with some of what she said, as I am. But also, I'm sure that you have your perspective as well. So talk to us, man. Share it.
I absolutely love that. So I had posted something last year sometime. That's not my number one reason, but I agree with it because one of the biggest issues, like silent and listen, are the same words.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, like, if you pay attention, like, they're spelled out completely. They use all the same letters. We are never actively silent when someone is talking, which creates noise in the background to where I can't listen. So I totally agree with that. But I don't think that's the number one reason. I think the number one reason why people marriages fail is because you chose the wrong person to begin with.
Okay.
I think the biggest problem with us is that society teaches us that we need to be in a rush to be in a relationship. And we don't know how to be alone and single within ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we aren't fully ready to be in relationships, real marriages.
Mm-hmm.
We don't understand the value of marriage. We don't understand what all it takes to become married. We don't even know, if I'm a man, what it takes to be a husband. If I'm a woman, what it takes to be a wife. And so I think it's just a conglomerate, a collaboration of two misinformed people, and they end up getting married and they end up getting divorced because you didn't know what you were doing when you started the process to begin with. Most of us think about it from this perspective. Divorce rate in America is 53% right now, 53%. So that means you're more likely to get divorced than you are to stay married. How is that the case? Because you chose wrong to begin with.
So now,
Second thing is, hold on real quick.
mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna let you talk. You know, that gray beard, that wisdom is there. So if you look at people who are together,
Mm-hmm.
and you know that they marriages is stank, right? Like no one wants to, like, you look at them like, how is these folks still married? That's probably another 20 to 25% of marriages, you know, that just ain't no good. So you're talking about a 75, 80% of folk that's married, they ain't supposed to be married to begin with. It's our choices. And I think that's our biggest issue.
So with that being said, how would you say one makes the choice to marry the right person?
Okay, from my perspective,
Mm-hmm.
listen, my perspective. You know me, I like to pull a little scripture out if I can. So Adam and Eve was just a wonderful, right? So if you look at that situation, Adam didn't know who Eve was. Adam just operated in his purpose,
Okay.
right? He operated in his purpose. Adam never went and sought a wife. Mm-hmm. Now, you know, the Bible is not gender, it's situational, but we like to put it on there. So he never sought a wife. What he did was he said, I'm going to operate in my purpose. Then the Creator said, it's not good for him to be alone.
Okay.
So all Adam did was just go out and do what he was supposed to do, and then the Creator brought someone to him. So when he saw Eve, he pulled him out of her. He pulled Eve out of him. Mm-hmm. He was able to see himself in her. When you operate in your purpose, they're going to come along and you're going to be able to see that person that you need for yourself within yourself. That's how you know. If you can't see yourself in that other person, then don't be with that person. They are not your forever. They are your right now.
Okay. May I add
something? May I? Yes, you may.
So I understand what you're saying. And, you know, it has merit. But how do you, and I'm just posing this question rhetorically. What did we say about people whose marriages are arranged, or people who get married at 16, or, you know, they've been dating someone since 14, 15, 16 years old, and 30, 40, 50 years later, they're still together. I didn't know myself at 14 or 15 years old. I'm 46 now and just not meeting myself. You know what I mean? I think that, and then you also said something about looking at marriages and 25% of them, you know, saying that marriages stink. Maybe I may be wrong, but I believe that a lot of times when it comes down to marriage is about choosing. And I do believe that there are ups and downs in marriage. There are times where it's going to be great. Sometimes it's going to be stink. It's going to stink. However, on the other side of that is something that, you know, if you endure, maybe you will find yourself in that other person. Sometimes it's a matter of working things. I honestly believe that over your life, things change. Mm-hmm. The way you view yourself changes. You know, and I don't think that there's, just like with being a parent, there's no book that defines what we're supposed to do. I think as long as we choose we choose to do, I mean, I get there's merit to what you're saying, definitely. I just tell you right now, I promise you I can't choose the right one.
Well,
I promise you
but
that
see,
right
here's
now.
the thing. So here's the thing with that. The problem is you're choosing. You can't
But I
choose for
should.
you.
But I
You
should.
can't choose for you. That you got only thing you can do for you is operate in your purpose. That's why I use Adam and Eve, because that's the to me the most perfect illustration of understanding or being with that person who he doesn't know her, he didn't seek her out, he didn't do it, he just operated in his purpose and the creator crafted someone for him. I think that is the part. Like we like when you choose, you're going to choose out of your desires. You're going to choose out of your wants, the things that you wish to have for yourself, as opposed to um, someone who's been crafted for you.
So let me ask this question. So how does one go about discerning who's been crafted for them?
You
And
don't.
so okay. So now let's for those who are listening, um, I want let's clarify when you said you don't get to choose. You use the story then of Adam and Eve. All right. But when you say you don't get to choose, now those who are listening can look at it this way and say, "Wow, a woman asked that question. So is he saying she does not get to choose?" Or you follow me? So let's bring a little more context to it. I get what you're saying. When you're moving in purpose, then you draw
Right.
to you.
And see, that's the part that gets lost often, is that we so worried about trying to choose the right mate as opposed to walking in my purpose.
Okay.
When I walk in my purpose, my mate is going to be along that path.
But so do you say that a man should not marry until he knows his purpose? I agree, because I'm gonna tell you, it's real
Yes.
hard. I'm a helpmate. I know that.
Right. So
I
you got
know
to
that within
know.
myself.
You got to know what you're helping. Go ahead.
I'm a helpmate. Exactly. If you're not doing anything, then all we got is frustration. So should the person who ain't doing nothing, who's not walking in their purpose, should they just take themselves off the market and
Come
stay out in
back to the
leave
scripture.
people alone?
Come back to the scripture. How can two walk together unless they agree?
No, I
Right?
totally
So
agree
like
with what you're saying.
if you're a helpmate, then don't go and get a slacker that you got to be the do all mate.
But what
right?
I'm saying is this: should a man, knowing that he doesn't know what his purpose is, bow out and go sit on the bench until you figure it
Yes.
out? Like,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
can we make that clear?
You know what? And that's okay, guys. Okay, so this is it. All right, so keeping it real, and everyone say keeping it personal, controversial, not personal. It was good. I love it. I love it. I'm gonna tell you why. Because you made that. That's a good point, Alicia. That's a great point.
Yeah.
Yes, because you know
Men,
what? If I knew then what I know now, I would have set my behind down.
look,
You
I
see?
second that emotion.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Keeping it biblical, if we look at the forefathers
hmm
of the children of Israel, they didn't go get their sons didn't marry until they were in their 30s.
Mm.
Like if you really look at it, like they didn't go look for a wife for their sons until their sons were in the years.
hmm
right.
So that they've had time to, let's talk about that prefrontal cortex, that development there. They've had time to mature. They've worked. They're crafting. They understand a little bit more of who they are.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we're at a place, they're at a place where they are more mature, and then they got the younger wife, but culturally we don't do that.
And that's the problem.
Culturally we don't do that. But then there's still those who are Like I know several couples who've been together since they were 14 and 15 years old, you know, figuring it out together. But they're obviously their marriage didn't fail. So, but I'm pretty sure they had no idea what their purpose was then.
So we're going to go to commercial break. Listen, we're having a great time with this conversation, keeping it real, keeping it controversial. We're just discussing just everyday life. One of the main questions that we asked was, what is the number one reason for divorce? Listen, you're listening to Success by Choice radio show with your hosts, Chris and Ben Price. We will be right back. We left off with one of the questions being, why do we think that marriages fail? What's the number one reasons they fail? Everyone talked except me. All right, so y'all gonna hear my take. All right, my take is my take
You
really
want the
for real
clinician
is
in the group, so hey.
for real though. Seriously, I think it's that more people put investment and time into preparing for a wedding day versus for marriage. You know, they have no concept of what it means to be married, and they don't realize it's almost like a fleeting thought, like, okay, well, if it don't work, we're gonna get divorced. And I've married some couples that I've worked with that have gotten married and they got divorced. So again, you know, that's just basically my reason as to why I think marriages fail. You know, that's one of the reasons I think it failed. Now, here we go. We all ready for this one? Let me know if you are.
Go ahead, brother.
Okay. So before we came back on, we were talking about marriage, and Ben, you were talking about the article that you read, the statistics that you received about young people in marriage. I want us to get in there because I want to hear what you had to say, as well as Alicia. You go ahead and share what you were saying, like it's some badge, you know what I'm saying, doing it alone. So let's go in there and bring the people up to date what we were talking about behind the scenes.
So to jump in back on that point, I think that marriage has been devalued societally. And I think that also factors into the reason why the divorce rate is so high. There was an article that I was reading at the end of last year that young people under the age of 25, over 40% have no desire to be married in the future. And over 50% of that group were young ladies. And so when you know, I'm 45. I'm 45. So about to hit and got a birthday coming up. So I was thinking about like when I was younger and what the girls thought of. And they were looking at their Barbies, and everybody thought about being married and having kids and white picket fences, and you know the idealistic view of, you know, a young girl growing up. And these same young ladies don't have those views regarding marriage.
What do you think has impacted that?
I think it's I think that I mean, hell, listen to music that you hear. Yeah. Like look at YouTube and Instagram and social media. You know, I think those are influences, as well as if you look at, like, coming back to earlier, we choose wrong, right? We choose people that fit our right now needs as opposed to our soul needs. And so if I'm a young girl and I see mom with 3 or 4 different guys, or if I'm a young girl and I see mom or dad, right, with like struggling relationships and things of that nature, children emulate what their parents see. They don't listen to what they say. They do exactly what they do. And they get mindset of, you know what, I don't want to live like I saw my mom and dad live. If I'm in a house of tumult, I don't want to grow up in a house of tumult, which drives me away from wanting to do it.
So what I see, and it's while you were talking, this came to me. People desire relationship because honestly, that's one of the basic needs, relationship. but people don't necessarily or are afraid of commitment.
So I like what you're saying. I would change that ship
Okay.
from relationship
Okay.
to companionship.
Okay. So they're looking for companionship.
I don't want to be alone.
Okay. Okay.
Relationship
That
says I'm relating to you.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that, because that's what I
Right.
always say. You're just basically relating. You're becoming
Yes.
honestly, there's a level of intimacy when you start moving into relationship, friendship, familyship, right?
Yeah.
Anyship.
So when I think that more people care about being a companion as opposed to being related to.
Alicia, talk to us.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I also agree with you Ben, saying that the value of relationship, or excuse me, of marriage has gone down in the minds of many in our society. One thing I would love for young ladies to realize, as a woman who I've been, unpartnered for close to 11 years now. And there's no badge of honor for it. There's no badge of honor in raising children by yourself. And far too many times I see young ladies become mothers and there's no mention of a father. There's no, and the conversation over and over again is, it's just me and my baby against the world. Wrong answer. Because you think that you're doing the best for your child. You think you're doing the best for yourself, but everybody needs somebody. Everybody needs help. That child needs a village. That child needs a father, because how else would the child know themselves? We talk about knowing purpose. How would that child know themselves without knowing their father? That's, I hate to say it, but I mean, when we look at it from a biblical
Why do you hate? We don't hate to say that. We take that from the atmosphere.
Right.
We glad to say it. Put it on the air.
Right.
I'm glad to say,
yes.
But the identity of a person is found in their father. And it's found in the father's people. We give children the father's last name. We choose to many times. Sometimes we don't, but nonetheless, it's beyond the last name. It's beyond the name itself. It is who they are. Identity. What is a part of their bloodline? Yeah. Where did they come from? Right. Fathers establish identity in their children. And unfortunately, we make the mistake of judging a man and his ability to be a father based on what we see during the pregnancy. Fathers can't relate to a child that they can't see. Right. We can talk about it all day long. Right. They can talk to your baby bump all day and sing and read books and stuff, but that father cannot have set eyes on the child, feel the child's movements or anything until that child is born. So to cut that man off based on how he operated during the pregnancy is very unfair to the child and the man.
Okay, you know what? How do we get
No, go ahead, sir. Please go ahead.
This is my thing. This is a major. I would want to hit on something, but I'm not going to hit on it. All right. But how do we get the fathers? I don't know. How do we? What's the platform we need to use to get fathers to get back involved in their children's lives?
Something that reaches the mothers, because the mothers are gatekeepers. That's the thing. It's like you have to. I think a lot of times we miss it because we don't see men cry, because we don't hear their emotions. We miss it. We miss it whenever we take that child out, or we bumping our gum.
No.
Our gums every time the man comes around. We are
keeping it real.
Are we allowing space for him to be a father?
That's the question. That's a good one.
Are we allowing him to be who he is supposed to be without some person who don't know you, your child, or your last name or care anything about it telling you when they can see their child, when or how much they have to put forth in this child's upbringing. Meanwhile, you got kids that are just, and they play parents who don't live together just as much as they play the ones
Yes,
that
they
do live
do.
together.
Yes, they do.
They
Yes,
do.
they do. I'm telling you.
And I believe that our society's issues start with that. So I mean, how do we fix that? I believe it starts with somebody having to decide that, hey, I'm gonna let you come in and do what you were created to do. I'm going to let you fulfill the divine purpose that you have in our child's life. Period.
This is what I said, and this is what I said to Alexis's mom, and I so applaud her and thank her so much for carrying my vision and we producing this beautiful child with two beautiful grandchildren. And I always call her, we joke, we really do. But I said that's my baby mama, she'll, we joke about it and keep it, but I don't mean that crap. But anyway,
Right. Right.
but one thing I remember saying to her when I was going through financially, I said, if you would pray for me like I pray for you,
Yeah.
it would help me
Yeah.
in my process. Because in my heart, and I will say this, and I'm going to put this on the air because I'm launching my arrows and I know I'm setting people free.
Absolutely.
So when I transition up out of here, I would be empty so I can get everything I'm supposed to have. But anyway, long story short, I divorced her mom because I didn't love me.
Mm.
I didn't
Yeah.
love me. And I remember I looked at the house that we had purchased and I looked at it. I said, I can start again. But I knew I did not love Chris. How was I going to love somebody else? How was I? I couldn't give him love. Go ahead, bro, because I see you. They can't see you. Go ahead.
No, listen, I'm just basking in the wisdom.
And we're friends and we're cordial. We're friends, I'm telling you, to this day. But I had to ask her to pray for me.
So I love everything that's been said. And I think that so many of us, I want to come back to the identity piece.
Mm-hmm.
Like our children have an identity crisis, right? And our children have an identity crisis because we have two parents who are not knowing of themselves, right?
And a crisis
in
themselves.
their crisis.
That's right.
Trying to one, if a man or woman, because it goes both ways, non-existent in a child's life, they are losing, right? If it's a man or a woman. Children were designed by two people. They have two persons' DNA in them.
Mm-hmm.
You need to see both persons in your growing up to know who you are. Like if I'm a dad and I'm not engaged in my daughter's life, they don't know who they are.
Right.
They only know a piece of themselves. They don't know fully who they are. It is incumbent upon us, one, to take inventory of ourselves. Mm-hmm. And two, to make sure that if we are going to be sitting around and procreating, we're being responsible with our procreation. Like sex feels great. That's why we do it, right? So I'm not even going to take that away from it, but that doesn't mean that you can't be responsible with what it is that you're doing. I got to know you if I'm going to try to build something with you. I got to know who you are. I got to because if we bring together a human being, it is our, not your, not mine, our responsibility to bring them up to life, and not just one person. And because so many people have singular situations, our children don't know who they are for.
That's good.
It's a crisis. Yeah, it's a crisis. Well, it's that time. We got to go to a break. You don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Success by Choice radio show, and we're your hosts, Ben and I, Chris McClurkland, and we have our special guest with us, Alicia. Listen, we have been talking some controversial, real conversations, and we're going to keep it going. So the question I have tonight is, can your partner, your spouse, be your best friend? Talk to us about it, people. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
Did I allow for the lady to go first?
I mean, it's on you. It's whatever you want.
Go ahead, Ben.
Listen,
Go ahead, Ben.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, your partner is not your wife is not your best friend. Now, before we jump into this whole, whatever, like, obviously you're friends, right? That's an obvious thing, because you don't want to be in a relationship with someone that you're not friendly with.
Right.
But wife is an office. Husband is an office. Best friend is an office. I need to be able to go to my best friend who is not my partner to drop off emotional things that could, if I dropped it into my partner, now I'm conflating our relation. I'm jacking up our relationship with issues. Give you an example. So, like, Chris, that's my man, 100 grand for 20 years, right? There's times that I'm feeling away, and I call my best friend and be like, bruh, I'm feeling away. And he, in the office of best friend, can tell me, Ben, you're dumb. Get your life together. This is the problem, right? But if I go to my partner and I share my partner these things that I'm feeling, now I'm filling my partner up with things in my brain housing group that is going to scramble up our relationship, because in the back of her brain, she's going to be like, oh my goodness, like, he feels this way. And it could be just a fleeting thing that's passing me, or I just needed something to get off of my chest, and it was just something small. So, like, they're offices. The wife is an office. The husband is an office. The best friend is an office. And there needs to be a separation between the two.
All right. Alicia, talk to us. Give us.
For many of those same reasons, I agree. I definitely, and it's not to take away from people who say that they're married to their best friend. I will give them all of that. However, if we really take a really good look at things, do you have someone that is a confidant more than your spouse? Can you really tell your spouse everything? When I think of a best friend, I'm honest with that best friend regardless. You gonna tell your spouse about that $500 purse that you bought that you had in the car, like, right. And I mean, and these are small things
that shouldn't be anyway. Go ahead.
Say that.
I said that shouldn't be anyway.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree with that. Especially if it hasn't been. But I do believe that. I do believe that there needs to be some respect for offices, and definitely there needs, just for our social emotional health, our well-being. I don't need to call my partner my best friend, because what happens whenever we disagree, and we will disagree. We will disagree. So you mean to tell me I ain't got a friend whenever, just because I'm mad at Bay? Like, no, we're not doing that. No. I definitely feel like there should be a separation.
So for the sake of like, what is, I guess, proper to feel toward your spouse? You know, like just friend.
That's
I
your
mean,
spouse.
it's
I'm just
different.
asking. I'm just asking because people, I'm
I feel
sure.
like it's different. Like my spouse, okay, my spouse is going to see things that my best friend won't see.
Right.
My spouse is going to see me at my most vulnerable moments.
Mhm.
My best friend is going to back me up in my BS. You know what I mean? And my husband's not going to do that. My husband's not backing me in my BS. And my best friend, here's another thing from a woman's perspective. A woman want to get on the phone and talk about it for an hour and a half. Her husband
Yeah,
ain't
right.
listening to all that.
Don't want to do that.
Good. Nah.
He'll sit there and nod his head, but is he really tuned in for that hour and a half like that?
Nope.
Is he
No.
going to give me feedback and yeah, girl? No, he's not doing that. He's
Yeah.
not doing that.
So
No.
you know that's good. That's good points. I like that. I like that. So Alicia, from your perspective, right? What's going on? Like, what do women really want nowadays?
I can't tell you that. I don't consider
Right. I
myself
know,
a
right?
typical woman. I can't tell you that. I don't consider myself a typical woman. I'm friends with women.
Mhm.
We can vibe like that, but at the same time, we don't talk about the same things. We don't have a different vision. We don't have the same vision.
Mhm.
Many of my friends are married. I don't think like a married woman. I'm in production mode. I'm in nurture mode at the same time. There are things I have to do, and I do without a second thought.
Right.
That some other women's like, I wouldn't even know where to begin. We're not the same.
Gotcha.
So I can't tell you what they want.
Then what you want to say, brother?
I can tell you what I want, but I can't.
You know what? Touch on it. What is it that you would like to that you would desire in a husband?
At
least 3 points. 3 points.
3 points.
Yeah.
Someone who is going to take me to be that woman, someone who will understand, who will listen to and understand where I am right now and what got me here.
Okay.
Without speaking negatively of it. Like, I know I'm not an independent woman. I ain't trying to be an independent woman, but at the same time, I'm not trying to confuse things by being dependent upon someone who's not permanent. Another thing that I desire is a person who, of course, knows their purpose. Because purpose is important. How can I help you do anything when you don't know what you're doing?
Okay.
And the other part is a person who will allow me to who will be patient with me as I submit myself to them, allow them to occupy spaces, allow them to do certain things, because they can't do it if I don't give them the allowance to do it. So those are my 3.
Okay, that's good. I like that. Benny, what are your thoughts? What you?
Oh, that.
What you looking for, Ben? I'm playing.
You know, as she was speaking, it spawned thoughts of something that we were talking about offline, like the submission piece. It spawned a question that may come up later. I don't know, but I think that it's like as what Alicia is saying as far as what she's looking for. I absolutely love that. I think the issue with not Alicia, but women in general who are speaking it that way is, are you actually going to allow yourself the liberty to let someone else in? Because that's the hardest part. The issue isn't whether or not he's there or he's available. It's whether or not you're going to let him in.
Because he's not going to fight you. He's not going to fight you to do it.
Not. A real man is never going to fight a woman at all. What he's going to do is let you either let him in or let you hang by your own rope.
Right.
But now that man
out the door.
What was that part? What'd you say?
And let himself out the door.
Exactly.
But see that type of that man has vision and has taken time to work on himself and we're never this perfect piece where we're always whole. This the illusion of being whole. I believe what's most important is that we be willing to die, shed layers, so we can elevate and be our best self as we navigate life. So um that man is going to realize, and like I said, getting back to when I divorced because I knew I didn't know myself. I lacked character development, but I was one of the most premier preachers up at the East Coast.
Hold on. Let me what's my line? Give you a little pushback.
Okay.
So why can't you be whole?
When because I'm constantly
Now,
dying.
so hold on. So let
Go
me
ahead.
jump in there
Go ahead.
before you answer. Holisticness is not perfect,
Mm-hmm.
right? I can be a whole me.
Mm-hmm.
I've done my work. I've done my healing. I have, continued to become better because I'm always becoming a better version of myself.
Correct.
I am being perfected, never being perfect.
Okay.
But I can be a whole me. Why can't we not be whole? Tell me why we can't be.
I know for me, the reason I say that is because I realize even now that there's certain things that I'm still dying to, which I encounter them. Some I wrestle with. You follow me? Until I slay them, I keep having to feel them, and I'm learning more of myself. So if the illusion to me, and I did say the illusion of being whole, of where it's just perfect, it's just like we no longer need to strive for maturity or perfection. I don't
Right?
think we'll ever reach that. That's why I said that. But now, as far as my identity, knowing, I believe we become whole also when we align with our purpose, and we know that.
Okay. So I would argue that the ideal of being whole
Mm-hmm.
allows you to recognize that I'm perfecting and not perfect.
Okay.
Right?
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that, okay, I have done so much work. But I am still working.
Right.
Right.
I have perfected this craft, but I'm still perfecting.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is a recognition of my holistic nature. That although I'm not where how the church folks say it, I love where I am today, but I'm not where I used to be. Type
Oh,
situation,
right.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So like I can see that I've grown through what I've gone through.
Right.
Right.
I'm not what I used to be, but I'm becoming better. And I think that is whole. I think the problem is that we conflate the illusion of holisticness and perfectedness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I can see
And
that.
you're not perfect. You'll never be perfect
Right.
because there are things that you're working on within yourself that will never be challenged until a person comes in and challenges that thing that you didn't know was still there.
Say that again.
Right? So that's the part but you recognize that I'm not perfect, but your wholeness told you that you weren't. So just a little pushback, I'm gonna step
Yeah,
back and let the
yeah.
whole student do, but it's just a little pushback, because words matter, right? Words matter.
And
And the reason why I jump on that so much, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take up the time, but like the problem with so many relationships is that people keep trying to put two halves together and call it a whole.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You ain't never gonna get a whole
Out of a half.
piece out of two halves. It's already split and broken. Two halves can never make a whole.
It's an illusion.
Whole. It's an illusion.
It's an illusion.
The illusion of the wholeness is because you think that you whole when you really just a half. That's the problem.
And also is what you want, because sometimes people put in the order. Oh, no, the order for that.
I'm sorry.
Oh man, oh man. All right. If you're just tuning in, we're talking keeping it real, keeping it controversial. We have Ben and also um, Alicia here tonight. We're just grateful that you're here. Community, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to the Success by Choice radio show, and I'm your host with my co-host and our good friend Alicia. We have Ben here, the co-host, and again, it's me, Chris McClurkin. We've been talking about keeping it real and controversial conversations. And if you're just joining us, that's been like the flow, just keeping it real, keeping it controversial. We left off with some dynamic conversations, but in this last segment, I promise you guys, it's going to be even better next time you hear us, okay? But the question I have right now is, we were talking about relationships and statistics as to why, what's the main reason people divorce, and then also just the statistics of number one, first marriage is failing by 53%, I believe, Ben, you stated, and it goes higher in the second marriage. It goes into the 70s in the second marriage. This is my question. Amidst the trash that social media is feeding, as well as there's some positives, so I'll keep it real. But amidst everything that's vying and pulling for our attention, how can we, as men and women, encourage each of us to have the audacity to be great? How can we do that? Like, for real, how can I tell my sister without her thinking I'm flirting with her, I want anything from her, to have the audacity to be great? Talk to us.
I think it starts with accountability.
Okay. Elaborate on that.
I think that we can tell each other to be great, but how do we define being great?
Okay.
That's it.
To me, being great it's a daily process of growing as a woman. Mm-hmm. Facing those things that have kept me small, facing those things that I've held on to since childhood, those things that may be holding me back into becoming the person who is able to walk in the rooms and do the things that I desire, that I dream of in life. So in order for that to take place, I must hold myself accountable, but then surround myself with people, if there are people around me. Mm-hmm. Surround myself with people who will do the same thing, who will not necessarily, they don't have to believe in the dream as much as just simply believe in me enough to hold me to the dream. Whatever I say I'm going to do, mm-hmm. hold me accountable when I don't, or check in with me, make sure, if we have to have that involvement. I do believe in self-accountability. I do believe in handling my own business. However, if there are people around me, they must align with, they don't have to align with the dream, because everybody's not a part of it, mm-hmm. but they must align with my growth as I align with theirs as well.
Cool. I like that. Accountability. Okay. Talk to us, Ben.
So I'm gonna jump in with that. It's like, let me tell you what the old folk used to say. The old folks would say that I'm gonna know who you are by the company you keep.
Go, birds of a feather will flock together.
Right?
That's right.
So part of the problem with men and women is our company. Who we got around us. Who are we have surrounding us? Because the folk that we have around us and surrounding us are the folk who are feeding information into our brain housing group. And we move based on the information that is filling our temples. Mm-hmm. And when you have people, if I have a vision and I got people around me who are pushing me towards my vision, mm-hmm. that not only are going to push me to my vision, but also will hold me accountable to the words that come out of my mouth. Mm-hmm. Like, I think about that. You know how many times, and this is men and women, but especially with women, right?
Mhm.
You will hear these women who will tell their friends, like, girl, you don't need him. A girl, like, who is he? You this, you that, blah, 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 all that type of stuff, right?
Mhm.
And they just elevating you and conflating with this and the third. And that guy was sitting here, all he was trying to do was love you. All this dude was trying to do was like be here for you, support you, build you up, do whatever. You don't need him, you don't need that. And then, 3 weeks later, you done filled your whole brain with that whole all of that. You don't need me. You dump him. Now he done went on and got married to somebody else and in a relationship with somebody else. And you sitting here looking back like, damn, like he
Mhm.
supported everything. He did like he was all it's like you are responsible for the people that you keep around you.
I think I don't think we addressed that. And I like the fact of accountability, the way you jumped in. And so as you were talking, Ben, what came to me was be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners. Like
Good manners.
we we have to be attentive to our gates, our ear gate,
Mhm.
our eye gate. We
Mhm.
are spiritual beings in a temple and we are influential. We transfer energy. People don't necessarily want to use that type of terminology, but it's fact. We do. I can feel vibes.
Okay.
Oh, there was a good vibes in there. You see what I'm saying? But then they don't like the fact that you just saying the short word is vibrations. That's what we emit.
Correct.
You can pick up energy. So again, I think it's important that we are mindful of who we allow in our space.
It takes nothing away from you to remove toxic people out of your life. They can serve a purpose,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't have to be your advisor,
Mm-hmm.
right? They don't have to be. And this is not a woman thing. This is a people thing
Right.
because there's toxic men and toxic
Yes,
women.
they are.
Mhm.
There are irresponsible men and
As well as
irresponsible
irresponsible
women.
women.
There are dumb men and dumb women. Don't matter what it is. Like, pull out the adjective. They on both sides of the fence.
Right, right.
You're responsible for who it is that you allow to speak into your spirit.
Absolutely.
And those persons that you allow to speak into your spirit are going to be the ones that determine your place in this earth.
Absolutely.
Period. Relationally, professionally, economically, spiritually, psychologically. If you don't have a strong friend support system around you, guarantee you are going to struggle in that area of your life. Period.
And
And
it's okay.
it's our responsibility to do that. Go ahead, Alicia.
I'm sorry.
No,
It's
no, go ahead.
okay to remove people and still love them. It's okay. You don't have to fall out with that person. You don't have to
At all.
feel angst or any type of discomfort with that person.
Mm-hmm.
You just simply have to put them in the rightful spaces. You
In
have to
their
still be
space,
cool,
In their
in your
space.
life.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
but I mean, and I think that's another thing that we kind of mess up on. We think that we have to fall out with everybody who's not a part of my vision. I don't
No,
see them. You don't have to fall out with people. You still
no.
need people someplace or another on all levels.
Mm-hmm.
However, for a season until you can get someplace, who knows? You might be able to help that person come out of that toxic place that they're in. But you first got to get yourself out of it. You first
Mm-hmm.
have to get yourself to that place that you desire, that vision that you have. You get there first and then help someone else out. But you can't do that being surrounded by poor company.
Right.
Well, as always, it's been great having a great discussions with these phenomenal people. Our guest, my co-host, rather, Ben Price, and then our guest, Alicia. Alicia, you coming back? You know that, right? You know that,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Oh, oh,
Absolutely. I wouldn't miss it for the world.
now, did you know that by the spirit, or did you just know it? Come on, talk
Well,
to us.
it's just discernment.
Oh,
It's my
wow.
pleasure.
Listen, thank you so much. What closing words would you all share with the audience before we sign off? Goes Ben.
The biggest thing is, I'm sorry. The
Go
biggest
ahead.
thing
Go ahead,
is
Alicia.
just, we're here together. Love yourself and love others.
Hmm.
Love this experience. We only get it once.
You're right. I like that. I like that. Ben, what are your words?
Good, man. I guess my biggest deal would be you are responsible for you, nobody else. If you are in the ditch, get yourself out the ditch. If you're on the mountaintop, stay up there. Don't allow people to pull you down, and don't allow people to keep you in the ground. You responsible for you.
My closing words would be: don't self-sabotage what you deserve. Don't do it. It's not too good to be true. It's not too good to be true.
It's not too good to be true.
You can see it, and if it is not yours, you do not want it, and if it is yours, you cannot lose it. So listen, join us next week as we continue keeping it real, controversial conversations. We thank you so much for being a part of us. Join us every Monday night at 9 p.m. Also, if you want to be a guest on the show, I would love to have you. Just email me at chris@peaceablesolutionsllc.com. Again, that email is chris@peaceablesolutionsllc.com, or connect with me on social media at peaceable_solutions. That's on IG. Again, that's peaceable_solutions, or on Facebook, Peaceable Solutions. You've been listening to the Success by Choice radio show, and I'm your host with my co-host Ben Price and our guest Alicia. Until next week, continue to be blessed, and we'll look to see you. Have the audacity to be great.